Today we're doing a QNAP special. We're going to be looking at two main things today. One, going to be looking at the speed attributes available to you with the QNAP HS-453DX, utilising 10Gbe and different kinds of media, hard drive, SSD and such. And at the same time, we are going to be bench testing the brand new Thunderbolt to 10Gbe adapter from QNAP. So a lot of things to work out through today's video. What I'm going to be utilising is a Windows Thunderbolt 3 enabled PC, and I'm going to utilise the adapter to connect it via 10Gbe to this NAS, just to show you how straightforward and easy it is to connect a Thunderbolt system to this, and then afterwards bench test those drives. Now, this should all be in one video, but if it does get broken down into two parts because of length, I apologise in advance. But without further ado, let me show you how easy it is. So right now I've got this Thunderbolt laptop here in front of me, and what I'm going to do is connect the included Thunderbolt cable with the device into the rear. This is the 10G-T version. It retails for about £190, I believe. And we're utilising the HS, the new silent NAS. I should mention this has got hard drives and SSDs inside it, and the mic is very, very close to it, just to give you some idea about the noise it generates. There you go, not too shabby. So we're going to connect the adapter into my Thunderbolt 3 port, and then we're going to use a Cat 6A cable and connect one end into the available 10 Gigabit Ethernet port. And then we're going to connect the other end into the adapter. And the device, once again, is bus powered. So on the back there, you've got the LED light there denoting that Bluetooth Thunderbolt 3 has been connected. Over here, I'm going to approve this device. And then what we'll do is I'll make our way over to the screen in a second. We're connected there. We've got network connectivity there running into this NAS. And I can see the LAN port on the rear of this silent NAS is flashing too. So connection has been established. I'm going to make my way over to the screen and go through how to set this up. Okay, so here we are on the Windows Thunderbolt 3 PC. And what I'm going to do now is show you exactly how easy it is to set it up. You've seen me connect these devices with the cables, Thunderbolt into the adapter into the 10Gbe port of our QNAP NAS, in this case this silent NAS. And from here it is incredibly straightforward. But do remember to install the correct drivers. Most systems will do it automatically, but just in case the device doesn't work first time, remember that the official QNAP page to this adapter has got the links to the software, and the software itself, the driver I should say, is very small indeed. It is a tiny little file for you to install the drivers for this device. Make sure you've got those drivers up to date before you continue. So, now we've got the device connected, I'm going to show you how to set up a network drive. You need to install the QNAP QFinder software. Once you get that installed, this is what you do to find NASes. Scan your local area network, and then what it'll do is use every single network port available on your device to search for QNAP NASes. In this case, it has found the HS-453DX with no problems. This NAS was set up in our previous videos. As you can see, it's been connected to via 10 Gigabit Ethernet. It's also connected to the Wi-Fi, but for now we are connecting the device via 10Gbe. And again, we are doing this thanks to our network connection here. As you can see, this is the network here. We've got our Wi-Fi connection and we've got the 10Gbe connection simultaneously. So once again, connecting with the Thunderbolt to 10Gbe adapter does not stop you using the internet on Wi-Fi or any LAN ports that are available on your PC. So remember that. In order to truly access the content of your NAS over 10Gbe, you've got a few options open to you. Number one, you can use the QFinder software like I'm doing right now to log into the device via the QNAP QTS operating system and access the NAS as you would over the network or the internet, but utilising 10 Gigabit Ethernet. Let's shut this down here at the bottom. And right now, this is just letting us know there's all kinds of stuff going on here. And then this is our HS-453DX from our previous video. So as you can see from here, we can see all of our storage volumes. You can see everything we've created so far. Now, in this NAS, I don't know if you remember from the previous video, we installed SSDs and hard drive media in different volumes and available areas. So from here, we're going to be able to see all three RAID groups and what's inside. So RAID 1 group was the hard drive. The second group was the standard 2.5-inch SSD we put in one bay. And of course, finally, we've got those dual M2 SSDs that we've installed in the cache bays. So what we're going to do, is create some shared storage areas for us to play with. So let's create a brand new shared storage for us to use. So we're going to create a new shared folder. We're going to call this one hard drives. I believe that one might already be there, and we choose which disk volume we want it to be, so we'll make that the hard drive volume. And from there, we will go and let it know where to be. Don't worry too much about permissions for this video, but you can of course set predetermined permissions for different kinds of storage media. And boom, we've created our hard drive area. Next, we'll create another shared space, but this time with the SSD. So this one will be normal SSD, and on this one we will utilize that SSD that we've installed inside this device, and that will be the top one. And this normal SSD volume will give us the speed that the SSD normally gives us. So next we'll create another shared folder. Finally, this shared folder will be the internal M2 SSD cache bays, the M2. And from here, these shared folders, we're going to make them network accessible. So now we've got different storage mediums that house our storage as we need it. But what we really want to do is add these to our Windows platform. Because if we wanted to edit with programs like Final Cut, DaVinci, Power Director, Photoshop and more, we need to create a network drive. Now you've got two ways to go about this. The Windows traditional way is to use the network connections and find the device manually on your network. But thanks to QNAP, there is a much faster way of doing it. Go back into the QFinder Pro software, find that NAS as we did before, right click, go to Map Network Drive, and from here we can add that storage the storage bays and storage shared folders we've created locally on our NAS and make them mapped network drives via 10Gbe over Thunderbolt. So we'll log into the device. And from here, we select the folders that we want to utilize for this. And then each of those, so we'll go for hard drive first. We'll map the hard drive bay. We'll make the hard drive bay after the letter H. And now we've mapped a network drive to H. We'll create another one now. This map network drive will be for one of the other letters. We'll go for the normal SSD. We'll map normal SSD under N. That's that one mapped. And finally, we're going to map those M2s. So we'll map a network drive, M2 SSD, map network drive. We'll make that one under S. And there you go. All three of our drives have now been mapped. If we go into the PC settings, there we have it. There is all three of those drives there. These three, ignore that one, that's from a previous video. And there is our SSD and hard drive bays that are now being connected via 10 gigabit Ethernet. So, what are the speeds? Well, first and foremost, it's worth bearing in mind that via 10 gigabit Ethernet, the maximum speeds you're going to get do depend on the media. If you use a hard drive, we are expecting to get somewhere around 100 to 120 megabytes per second. If we'd had multiple drives in a RAID environment, depending on the RAID level, we would be looking at between 3 and 800 megabytes per second, depending on the number of drives you use. You will have to use quite a lot to reach those speeds, as well as enabling SSD cache. With a normal SSD, we want to be looking at between 3 and 500 megabytes per second. But in a RAID environment, we should see more. So the software we're going to use today, in the past we've tried to utilize Blackmagic, but for the sake of a nice easy speed balance, we're going to be using AJA Tester. And from after this, we're then, in a future video, going to do live video editing via 10Gbe on this NAS with this adapter. Now it's worth mentioning that the adapter on the table here does have an internal fan, but it makes even less noise than the silent NAS. And it may be a little hot, but it's definitely not as hot as some of the other adapters for 10Gbe to Thunderbolt that I've used on the channel. So now we're going to go back into AJA Systems, and we're going to speed test some of these drives. So first things first, let's go for the hard drive speeds. So via 10Gbe, we're going to look at what are the speeds we're looking at with the hard drive via 10 gigabit Ethernet connection to this NAS. So not too bad. Next, let's move on to, I'll say that's very impressive indeed. Next, we'll make our way onto the normal SSD and get a speed test on that. Unsurprisingly, we are going to get a greater speed from this. And the read speed, you have to bear in mind, this is a video testing software, and write speeds always seem to higher on this device. Now, I don't know if you can hear that on the mic there. I'll move it a little closer. That is the fan on the adapter kicking in. The adapter has noticed that we are doing more and more with it, and in order to maintain those speeds, it has now created that, it's actioned that fan. So now with that fan's in action, we're still getting that same read and write speed. In a minute, I'll do a consistent non-stop test, but finally we want to bench test those M2s inside. So with the M2s, we can do a speed test on those, and of course, because this is 2 SSDs, we are looking at even greater speeds, and that is the main difference between using SSDs or hard drives and moreover RAIDing the storage media that you have in your device, because you will get better speeds. If you'd had 3 to 4 hard drives and a 10Gbe NAS, you would still get somewhere similar to this speed. If you use multiple SSDs, you will get somewhere in the region of 1000 megabytes per second and max out 10Gbe. And again, remember, this is about creative workflow. This is about connecting your Thunderbolt system to a 10Gbe NAS for editing your files, and then using the NAS's network and internet 1Gbe connectivity to spread your media throughout your business, your network, the internet, and who matters. That's really the point about 10Gbe NAS editing. I will be doing speed tests between this and other NASs soon, but otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.